Okay, so welcome to your own user group, ANZ Dynamics 365 FinOps team. And we are very glad to have everyone on board today. Uh, this is the first session of 2021, and we are super excited to make this fun a memorable year. We had a very good success at the very last 4 months of 2020, and that was just because of you guys. Everyone really spent so much time uh, involved together, came forward, and, and we had so many useful and knowledgeable sessions here. So thank you so much again, everyone.
Your
I would
voice
really like to
is
thank all the volunteers, as I just mentioned, all the speakers and attendees.
Your voice is breaking, Faisal.
Is it okay now?
Yes, better.
Thank you. So I was just saying, welcome to your user group, ANZ Dynamics 365 FinOps. And this is the first session of year 2021. And we are hoping to make this year a memorable year with having a lot of sessions, learn and share sessions. Uh, and we had a great year of 2020, where we only started in end of August, and in last 4 months of 2020, we had so much knowledgeable sessions, and that was just because of all the volunteers and speakers and attendees. Without having all these three combinations, we couldn't make it. So guys, thank you so much for being there with us uh, and spending your weekend times, your family time with us. Again, thank you so much. So, quick overview about the group. So, this is the group being created by a few individuals. This is your own group. There is no position hierarchy. There is no admin. It's a flat structure. If you want to join this group, please come forward. If you want to volunteer, it's your own group. Come forward, share, say, this is my suggestion. You need to do this in a right direction. This is what I have noticed. It's not being happening. Any sort of suggestions. Everyone is open to hear and implement too. So it's not only listening. It's we will be implementing based on all the volunteers and all the contributors decisions. The main idea of this group is to gather all finance and operations professionals across the ANZ region. We have seen there is no specific group running into ANZ region specifically, which only talks about finance and operations. So now we gathered together, we thought, and we said, okay, let's start a group where we provide a platform to all our professionals, and they come forward and share their knowledge and also learn together all together. So now we are extending the scope of the group by adding a Power Platform sessions too, where we will be focusing Dynamics finance and operations integrations with Power Platform. Like one of the sessions we got today by Nitesh, where we are talking about finance and operations with Power Platform. So we do need such sort of powerful features, powerful speakers. So thank you so much, Nitesh, to come forward for that session.
it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, Faisal.
And thank you again. And this is how we want everyone to get involved with the community. It's a matter of having all together in one platform, and so that everyone knows we are all from the same background, same skill set, same talent, working abroad and in different countries, Australia and New Zealand. We want to get and we want to share knowledge. Everyone knows Microsoft focus is taking finance and operations towards data first. And now we are here. If I, Nitesh, or someone else, we have worked into some products where we have experience of extending finance and operations with Power Platforms. So why not we come forward and share our experience with our own other colleagues here and let them learn quickly. This is the quickest way of learning. So you can use this hashtag ANZ Dynamics 365 FinOps to share or to write some blogs, to share your thoughts onto your LinkedIn, and we do have the Twitter page also. So you can easily join us through LinkedIn group. You can follow us on our Twitter page, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channels. All our previous sessions and going forward sessions are going to be uploaded to YouTube. So do subscribe this channel. With this one, we have a long list of sessions ahead. So we have planned in next 3 month sessions as of now. And today's talk is it will be given by Nitesh. I will hand over to Nitesh shortly. But next session, what we got here is by Amar and Tasun, who is an MVP, uh, recently got awarded by MVP award. So what we have scheduled a series of advanced warehousing, where we will start from the very basic. As you can see, the first session is on 6th of February, 2 p.m. Australian time, and where Amar will be talking about how to start and make it a very simple advanced warehousing. So he will be talking about the basic concept of warehousing and then how you can take it to the advanced level. So it will be very, very useful session. A person like me and many others who haven't worked onto the warehousing stuff, it will be very useful. You get to know, and also most importantly, if you get to know the people and the professionals, if you get stuck with someone, you may reach to these two people directly. And then we have another session on 6th of March where Kasun will be talking about the new feature of supply chain advanced warehousing, which is a cross-docking. So this is a briefly list of upcoming sessions, but we are very glad and we are pleased. People are approaching us and asking us, can their sessions be scheduled? So we are working hard to get a new website up and running for everyone, where everyone can go and register for the event. And if they want to speak, they can register their interest, and they can also see what are the next sessions available in the future and what sessions have already been done in the past. So again, thank you so much. With this one, I will request Nitesh to please share your screen and start your session. Thank you so much again, Nitesh.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, Flazel. Thank you so much. All right, guys. So for all those who don't know me, my name is Nitesh Jain, currently working as a senior technical consultant for finance and operation with Aristocrat Technologies. I have more than 10 plus years of experience in AX with the consistent 3 years of experience with finance and operation. And I am based out of Sydney. So if you want to write to me, you can write me on this email address, and that's my LinkedIn ID. All right, so let's move on to my next slide. So guys, the agenda for today's discussion would be to see how Power Platform can help us in solving the business challenges. And then I'm going to be talking about the dynamic features that I have within my app. Then we're going to be discussing about the what sort of business value we drove out from the dynamic features within my app. Then we're going to be briefly discussing about the virtual entities. And then we're going to be moving to a quick demonstration. Then later on, we can discuss about the issues that I encountered during the development of the Powerapp. And then finally, we
Sorry,
can have a
this,
quick.
are
Yep.
you sharing your screen?
Yes, I am.
Sorry, I was not able to see it. That's fine.
All right.
All good, I can see it.
Okay. What about the other guys?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead. Sorry about that, mate. Yes. So that's the agenda. That's the overall agenda for today's discussion. So before I get started, I would like to talk about the business challenges that we address as part of this Powerapp. So what we have is we have a team of field technicians, and as part of their day-to-day activities, they have to log on to finance and operation via their mobile phones. And what do they do is like they view return orders, they view the return order information, they view the sales order informations, and they also view the inventory informations. Apart from that, they also update some selected fields on the return orders. They capture the part image and upload it as an attachment to finance and operation. And what do they do? Like in order to service the client, they need to generate some sort of custom report within finance and operation and send it to themselves. So, and apart from that, they have to also generate the inventory extract occasionally and share it with the other field technicians. This inventory extract basically contains all the part informations that are within a particular van. So how we have implemented is the van is configured as a warehouse in finance and operation, and each field technician has a van associated to them. So invent on hand extract is basically the information about the parts that are within a particular van. So they want the ability to share that sort of information among the field technicians so that they can service the client in a more efficient way, so that they don't run short of a part, like they can share with each other. So that was the whole idea. So that was the business challenge that they gave to us. And this is where we pitched in and proposed a power platform solution. So the solution that we have developed, that is built on top of the virtual entities. Virtual entities is a new feature that was added in the version 10.0.12 and the later ones. So from that version onwards, you can leverage virtual entities along with the Power Platform to develop your apps. All right. So now I'm going to be moving to my next slide, where I have put together all the features that are built in within the app. So that is the first page of my app. That is how it looks. I'm going to be demonstrating that later on. So that is how it looks. That's the landing page. So what I have done in my app is I have provided the ability for the users to update the return orders. They can just log on to the return orders module, select the return orders, and update the return orders. The, the app also provides the ability to scan the barcode and update it to finance and operation. It also provides the ability to capture the image, capture the part image, and upload it as an attachment onto the return orders within finance and operation. It also provides the ability to generate the standard, not the standard, I would say custom AX report. I don't see like any limitation. We can also generate the standard reports. So currently we are generating a custom report, and we are also generating the inventory extract, which they can just send it to themselves or to the other field technicians. So right, that those are the features that we have in our app. And moving on to the next slide, here I would like to discuss about the business value that we have added via our Powerapp. So I would like to discuss about each and every feature and what sort of business value it has added. So by providing the ability to perform the CRUD operations, attach image, scan barcodes via Powerapp, we improve user experience and we also improve their productivity, because now they can, because the work which was done in many clicks now can be done in just a few clicks. The next one here is the ability to share AX report and inventory extracts. So via our Powerapp, we have made the data sharing easy. They can just simply do one click and send the information to all other field technicians if they want to. Apart from that, it also has the capability to scan barcodes and update it to finance and operation. By doing so, we have improved the data integrity, because if we talk about a FedEx barcode that we are scanning currently in our app, it's a 14-digit number. So it becomes cumbersome to enter that large digit number into the mobile phone and then updating it to finance and operation. So those sort of value additions we have done to the business if we talk about our app that we have developed. All right. So now moving on to my next slide. Here I have captured the image of the architecture of virtual entities. So let me just extend it. So the app that I have developed sits on top of the virtual entities framework. So what are virtual entities actually? Virtual entities are actually a kind of a schema that resides within the CDS. It is, it looks like as if it is a part of native D365 entities, but at the bottom line, these virtual entities connect to finance and operation via this web API connector. Now the question arises why we use the virtual entities? Because in my opinion, uh, if we see that virtual entities leverage this channel, which is the web API channel, which is dedicatedly talking to the CDS environment, which makes this comparatively faster than this OData API channel. So, which is the reason we thought of using virtual entities and developing the app on top of that. Apart from that, what are the benefits are is like, firstly, it becomes available as part of the normal CDS entities. Easy to use. You can quickly add it to your form, and updating the information is as simple as calling just the submit button with the reference of your form as the parameter. So it becomes quite easy to update the information when we use this virtual entities. But if you have a requirement where you need to show the collated information like calculated fields, like if you are showing some calculated data, then this will not be a good approach because this works based upon the cache. So it doesn't cache all the records. So you cannot get the exact count if you are trying to achieve requirement of that sort. So that's one of the limitation for virtual entities. Apart from that, uh, if you are using virtual entities, you will not be having access for the fields which are of type container or image. So those sort of fields are not exposed in virtual entities. So there is a whole sort of setup that we need to do. It's a quick setup that we need to perform. So it starts with like installation of a virtual entity solution for finance and operation in Power Apps. And then you need to perform one Azure app registration, which you go back and configure into finance and operation. So there are those sort of steps involved in configuring the virtual entities. That is when your CDS starts talking to your finance and operation environment. Yeah, so that's the whole idea about virtual entities. So now I'm gonna be quickly demonstrating my app. All right, so that's the landing page of my app. In below here, there is a button which says select module. I'm going to select that. All right, so here I have all my modules listed. First one is the return order, second one is the sales, and third one is the inventory. If I talk about the return orders, one of the requirement was to show only the return orders which were assigned to a particular field technicians. So I have to filter out the records based upon the logged in Power App user's email address. So in order to achieve this requirement, uh, the challenge was like I have to configure my entity in finance and operation. I have to include all the data sources like HCM worker and all the third party related tables to expose the email address so that I can filter out the data here on the app. So in the first module of the return orders, we are just showing the return orders which are assigned to a particular field technicians, not all the return orders. So that's the screen of my return order. Here I have two buttons. One is the refresh, another one is the sort button, and this one is the back button. Like if you want to navigate back, you can go back using that. If you want again, you can go here. So that's the information we have for the return orders on the screen. This here is a gallery. So gallery basically help us in displaying the data. So it basically has three components. One is the title, subtitle, and the body. So if at all you want to display more information, then what I have done is like I have leveraged the body section and I have concatenated all the information and showed it here. All right. Now I'm going to take you to the next screen, which is my return order details screen. So here we are showing all the return order information. And here you see we have the bill of lading number, which is the FedEx barcode number, which we for which we have to provide the scan capability. So I'm just gonna quickly all right. Just a moment. So here is the FedEx barcode. All right, so let me just put it here. So I'm gonna click on scan, and when I'm gonna scan, it captures the information. So it has read this barcode and inserted the information in here. And now I can just, now if I want to update other information, I can just select that information. And then I can just click on submit. So now it's going to update that information onto my return order. All right. So that's the first one which I have updated. And if you see here, so it has accordingly updated the bill of lading number back into finance and operation. So prior to this app, we were using this dialog to update the selected fields on the return orders. Yeah. All right. So all right. If something happened to my resolution, just bear with me for a moment. All right. So that is how we can perform the updates onto our relevant data entities. And then in below here, there is a button which basically shows us all the items that we have on the return order. And the same sort of look and feel, like we have a refresh button and we have a sort button on each and every screen. Let's go back. So the other feature I would like to show here in the return module is like capture image. So which is here right there at the bottom. The capture image functionality is powered by Power Automate. So let's click on this button. So what happens is, like, here I have given the option to select the camera as well. So like suppose if you have multiple cameras in your phone, here in the drop down, you can see like the list of the cameras that you have in your mobile phone. So you can select any camera from this drop down and it's going to capture the image using that camera. So currently I'm using the back camera. So I'm going to capture the image of Goldilocks and Three Bears. Just click on anywhere on the screen and then it takes you to the next screen. Here we are showing a quick preview of the image. And if at all you want to enter any description, all right, and then we can just say attach. So what it's gonna do, it's gonna call Power Automate in the backend, and it's gonna take all the information from the Powerapp and it's gonna send it to the finance and operation. And once the image is successfully attached, it's gonna display a message over here which says that the image has been successfully attached. Here on top, you can see I have two buttons. One is the home button, another one is the retake image button. So let's go and quickly verify the image. So there you go. So we have our image in finance and operation now, which is attached as an attachment to finance and operation. So description is coming up accordingly, notes is coming up accordingly. Uh, Restriction as internal, I have hard coded in my JSON message, and that's the image preview. File name I'm composing like based upon the return order and the date time and the current date time thing. All right, so that's Goldilocks and the 3 beers. Now let's go home. So if I'm going to click on home, it's going to bring me back within the return orders module, and onto the list page. Let's go back. So that was all about our return orders module. The next module we have in here is the sales module, where we are showing all the sales orders which were created in last 365 days. So that's our sales order screens, which look similar to what we have in return orders, because we try to follow a pattern. So if you can still see that there is a refresh button here, there is a sort button here, and we also have a search here. So what I saw was, like, if you want to perform search on the multiple columns, it wasn't working properly in version 10.0.12. So we raised it with Microsoft, and they said that it's an issue and it's going to be fixed in 10.0.15. So we have seen that it's fixed in 10.0.15 version. So just to give you information about that. So currently in my app, I only have the search, which is defined on one column. But yeah, once I have 10.0.15, I'll fix it to just perform search based upon multiple columns. So yeah, so that's our sales order screen. We can perform the sorting. So it sorts the information, and then let's pick any sales order. So here we have two options in the bottom. One is the sales item, which basically shows us all the items that we have on the sales orders, and in turn, if you want to have a look at the details. All right, so in bottom here we have email serial list report, which is the report required by the field technicians to service clients. All right, so when we're going to click on that button, it's going to open this screen. Hello. I hear a lot of background noise. Yep, much better. Thank you. Just a moment. All right, so when we're going to log on to this screen, it pops up with the current logged in Powerapp's user's email address. And then they can just quickly click on this send button, and it basically goes into finance and operation, generates the report and sends it to this email address. So let's just wait for some time. All right, so the report has been successfully sent, and it should come up in my mailbox. Yep, here it is. So if you talk about this email template, that is configurable. So my app is driven, the dynamic features that I'm talking about, like the report and the inventory extract, that is driven by a setup here in finance and operation, which basically defines that if it's a serial list report, it has to be sent to the email. So at the moment, currently how I've designed is my finance and operation is telling me like what should be the destination for a report of this type, and what should be the destination for invent on an extract when it comes to me. So at the moment, how I have designed is my finance and operation is defining the destination. But if required in future, I can enhance this framework to receive the destinations from the app and then act accordingly. So this framework here is built on top of extension framework. So suppose in future, if I have a requirement wherein I need to print a report to the back office printer, or whether I need to attach it to the Azure blob storage or file storage, yes, I would be able to achieve that. So yeah, and yeah, the email template that we saw is coming from here, and so that's the email template specified for the serial list report. All right. So that's all about our report and the shareability. And now we're gonna move to our last module, which is the inventory. So when we navigate within the inventory module, it's gonna list down all the vans or the warehouses within set up within finance and operation. So they can do search, sort, all same features in every module. So now suppose if this users want to share the invent on an extract of his or her van with the other field technicians, he can simply go on to the details, click on this button down here, and send it through the email to all the desired recipients. We also have the ability to send the report to multiple users by pressing a semicolon. Apart from that, one of the cool things that I saw in Powerapp is they also provide you with the validations. Like suppose I want to have email address validation on this particular text field. It provides me with an option to select that. And when I select that, it cleverly validates it. So like you see here, currently the email address is not in the correct format. So it's red. Now when I'm going to specify it in the correct format, it's gonna make it black, and this enable and disablement, I have done this in my code. So once you have the valid email address specified in here, this button will become enable, and then you click on send, and then it's gonna send the invent on hand extract to the desired email address. All right, so that should arrive. So here it is in my mailbox. So yeah, I've kept the mode of the app synchronous, but if at all they want, they can just leave that page and come back, because in the backend we have already initiated the Power Automate. It will do whatever it has to do. All right, so that's all about it. I think I have pretty much covered all the features that I have in my app. Let's move on to the slides. Okay, so in my last slide in here, I would like to quickly discuss about the challenges that I came across during the development of this app. The first one here is the search based upon the multiple columns that I was discussing earlier, that it doesn't work properly with version 10.0.12. Now it works fine with 10.0.15, but still, like if you have multiple columns specified in the body in the form of concatenation, then it goes crazy again. It works perfect for the title and subtitle, but doesn't work properly for the body. So the second issue or challenge here was filter based upon logged in Powerapp user. So yes, that was a challenge, because initially what I was trying to do was I wrote a plugin in CE to filter out the data. So what happens is, whenever we are initiating the request from CDS to finance and operation, I wrote a plugin in between to just pop in the email address, which is coming from CE, and filter out the data. And before I retrieve the data from finance and operation, I was filtering it out based upon that. But for some reason, when I was doing that, my updates were not working. Like it was coming up with some weird error. And then we logged it with the Microsoft, and then they told us that first of all, remove this plugin from here, and then we can have a look at the issue. So that is wherein I have to remove that plugin and do it on the Powerapp itself, all the filtering thing, which I don't like, because you are just sending the entire data to the app and then filtering it out there. So that is how it is currently. So that was one of the challenge, because I have to go and modify my entity to have SCM worker as a data source, and then all the third party tables, so that I'm able to expose the email address of the return order on the return order, and then filter it based upon that. So that was one of the challenges with the sort of filtering that was required on the return order. The third one was container types not available. Yep. So prior to the development, I was under the impression that if at all I use connector, I would be able to update the information accordingly. But the thing is, like, no matter what you do, whether you use connector or virtual entity, you will not be seeing the container type fields on the Powerapp. It doesn't show up. So the only way going forward that I saw was like using Power Automate for the image attachments. So the fourth one in my list was sort solution. So in order to sort, like, because this was my first app, so I was going through all the functions and everything. So whatever was recommended over the web for sorting, that didn't work for me. So I wrote my own version of sorting. And the way I did was like, the moment the screen opens, I'm initializing a variable. Like suppose if I need to sort based upon the created date time in descending order. So I just say descending order true. And then we click on the sort button, then I'm setting it to false. So you have to do some sort of solution like that, because the one which is available on web, it didn't work for me. And the last challenge that I faced in the development was sending the image data to finance and operation, because how I did was like I duplicated the standard sales order header attachment entity, and I leveraged that for my attachment purposes. So what it does is it has basically a container type of a field, and whenever we were sending the data from Powerapp, it was failing. Like it was. So what I was doing was like when I was sending the data from Powerapp to finance and operation, I was using the JSON function for the image field. So whenever we capture the image, it returns as the image data. So I was applying the JSON function on that, and I was sending it to the Power Automate. Even though I was using the bin64 decode method to send the data in the image format, it wasn't working for me. So in the Power Automate, just bear in mind that if you are sending the image data, you need to reparse it. You need to parse it and put it in a string variable before you send it to finance and operation. So that's one of the catch. Right. So those are the few issues and challenges that I encountered during the development of this app. All right, guys. So over to you. Like, and apart from that, I would like to just quickly discuss about how we shared this app. So the way we shared is like we have an Azure Active Directory group defined for our field technicians. So we use that AD group to share the app with our field technicians. Apart from that, in terms of security, if your users are reading and updating the data from finance and operation, as far as app is concerned, they need to be a user in finance and operation with relevant access onto the data entities. Like suppose in my case, for the return orders, they are performing the update. So I need to make sure that they have access to that entity, and the minimum access is update. So that sort of security you need in place. All right, over to you guys for any questions.
Yes, thank you, Nitesh. I think so. There was one question. Pradeep raised an hand. So, Pradeep, if you still have a question, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Nitesh, Pradeep here. I
Uh-huh.
just want to understand, you talked about these virtual entities.
Uh-huh.
For example, if you are trying to bring the return orders from FinOps onto your app,
Mm-hmm.
this virtual entity, it will again, for that you attach the actual entity as a data source, or how it
Uh,
captures the data
I,
from
I'll
data.
tell you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. So
Yeah.
first of all, we didn't use any standard entities. We first of all duplicated those entities. All right. And just bear in mind all the entities, or can someone mute, because I'm hearing the echo. Yep. So the thing is how we approached it. First of all, we duplicated the standard entity. And just keep in mind all the entities which are defining finance and operation and having public property as set as true, all those entities would become available in CDS. All right. So we duplicated the entity, and that is when it becomes available in CDS for your use. So you need to go on to the CE. There is a filter button. There is a filter button towards the right corner of the screen. So you need to click on that. Then it comes up with the search section. You need to say available. Within the drop down, you're going to be seeing that the available finance and operation entity. Select that, put the name, and click on the search button. It's going to pop up with all the entities that are within the finance and operation and based upon your search. And then you can just pick that and mark it as public. And that is when it becomes available for use straight away in your app. I know it's quite difficult to imagine that, but yeah, it's not that difficult. You just need to go onto the CE. There is a filter button right there on the right corner of the screen. You need to click on that, and that is when you need to put the filter criteria as available entities in finance and operation, and then put your search criteria and the search, and then you need to select the entity, mark it as public, and that is when it will become available. So Pradeep, I can share the doc if you want later on,
Yeah,
like how,
useful. Yeah.
yeah. Or you can reach out to me, like if you are facing any issues in setting it up.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Hi, Nitesh, Vishal this side. Thanks a lot. Very informative session so far. So just wanted to check when we are interacting with the database, are we, interacting with the non-transactional database or like the DW or the transactional database directly?
We are directly talking to the transactional database because we are directly talking to the entities. It's like
Yeah.
straightforward finance and operation entity that gets exposed onto your Power App.
Yeah. So it will give us the real-time information.
Real-time
Like for
information. You are
example,
right.
in the last step, you sent out some extract to
Mhm,
the, to
mhm.
your email address.
Yes, yes,
Rather,
yes.
if on the same screen, I add a couple of fields there, like what is the product number, which
Mhm,
location I want to see it.
mhm.
And then I can find out how many of these item are available in my, this
Yes,
particular location.
yes. Vishal, it's
I can
real
get
time. It's real time. So if you are
real time.
posting anything in finance and operation, post it, refresh on the app, it's gonna be there. So
Yeah,
nothing
yeah, yeah.
resides,
And
nothing resides on CDS. On CDS, what resides is your schema of your data entity, which resides in finance and operation. So whenever you are running your app at runtime, it goes and reads the data from finance and operation via web API connector and shows you on the app.
all right, that's great. That's great. And we can similarly do the product search also.
Product search also. Yep.
Okay. So can we apply some sort of, a record level security? I'm just assuming a scenario in which you are applying it to multiple, different stores where the customers are not shared
Mm-hmm.
because of, let's say, franchisee model.
Mm-hmm.
That can be handled through franchisee through the record level security. Does that apply
If
here
you
as
are
well?
if you are talking about the record level security, then I think it should be possible because it totally obeys what's been written in finance and operation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But Vishal, we need to try this.
Totally.
I'm
Yeah.
not
100%.
100%.
We are just,
Yeah.
thinking loud
But
here. I
yeah,
totally
true.
understand.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And on the same basis, if I
Mhm,
may assume that the security roles defined in Dynamics will
mhm.
also be, respected in this app. If I
Correct.
don't have the
You are
access
right.
to inventory,
Yes,
I
it
won't be
won't.
able to.
It won't.
Okay.
It will give you error.
Okay. All
There
right.
are
Okay.
there are two
Okay.
level of securities here. First of all, it's at the CDS level where you need to give the access, and then later on in the finance and operation as well.
Yeah. 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 One last thing from my side would be, can you just touch a little bit on the licensing part also? I know that we're not expert on the licensing, but just
Yeah.
on a very high level on how
All
does
right.
the licensing look if the time permits?
Right. Sure. So from Vishal, to be honest, from what I read, if you have Dynamic 365 CE license, yes, you can do your Power Apps, but you will not be able to use the premium connectors, which I'm using in my case. All right. So in our case, we don't even have a CE license, first of all. So what we are doing is there are two options, whether you buy per user per app license or many apps per user. So there are the two options available. So one is for $13, another one is for 54. So we are currently going with per app per user license.
Okay.
Yeah.
And let's say that it is a device rather than a user. For example, in a store, I've got 4 devices, and these devices are just for the inquiring of inventory, product search, and then where the goods are lying. So it's
You
not
mean
based on user.
you mean same user logging in from multiple devices?
Mul-
Is that
no, multiple users logging from the same device, just like the warehouse.
I think it's per app per user. So I think it's based upon the logged in user. Like
Yeah.
if you have multiple users logging with their own email address on the same device, then yes, you need 4 licenses because it's per app per
Okay.
user.
Yeah. That's that looks right. Yeah. Perfect. Thanks a lot, Nitish. All good from my side.
No worries, Vishal.
So it's all good, Nitesh. So I just shared a link into a chat window. That was about a few questions which Pradeep asked about
Mhm.
the virtual entities. So
All right.
I recently wrote an article on that one.
Mhm.
It actually outlines the complete steps what users
Correct.
you have to add and what
Yes.
steps you have to follow. So
Right.
please feel free to go through that article. It will help you. And if you still have any questions, please feel free to reach out to any one of us.
All right, guys. Any
Thank
any
you
further
for
questions?
I don't see any other questions in the chat. Also, no one has raised the hand as of now. But it was a very good session, Nitesh. Very useful. Is there any chance you can share the more details about Power Automate? How did you implement the Power Automate to send an email using your app?
Okay. So Faisal, just to verbally tell you here how I am doing it is like I am sending the data from finance and operation to Power Automate, and there I am using the HTTP connector like the normal one, and there I have my JSON messages defined, and within that I am populating all the inputs which are coming from the Power App, and then I'm sending it to finance and operation, and then from finance and operation on the setup I showed you that I have the destination as email defined. That is actually triggering the email. So email is actually getting triggered from finance and operation, not from Power Automate. So Power
Ah,
Automate is just retrieving. So I developed a custom service which basically receives the JSON message from the HTTP connector and sends the response whether the email sending was successful or not.
so it's a custom web service backing FNO.
Yes. Custom service developed in F&O called via HTTP connector from
Yep.
Power Auto. Yeah,
Okay, all good. Thank you.
no worries.
Okay, guys, so I see we don't have any further questions, so we will say thank you again for everyone joining today. And thank you so much, especially to Nitesh, for coming
Thank
forward
you.
and present a very useful session. This is where all the future is heading to. So I would encourage everyone to explore more about Power Platform and finance and operations. And there is no harm of exploring the scene because nowadays people are everyone from the jobs point of view, everyone is asking a person who knows everything. Like
Mhm.
they ask you similar they ask you a question, have you worked into CE, have you worked into FNO, have you explored Power Platform? So this is where we are now. We are, if we know anything, like uh, Nitesh has shared so much today. So now it's on us. We go back, explore it more. If you want to know more about licensing, uh, get it, get it, and then share onto the WhatsApp group so that everyone may know more about what we have learned today. So enjoy your rest of the weekend, guys. Thank you so much again for joining us today, and we see you in next 2 weeks again. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Faisal. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Bye.
Bye.